Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're digging into a devotional called Lean on Christ. God sees all.
And we're zeroing in on the part that unpacks Hosea 7, verses 1 to 16. The theme is, well, pretty direct. God sees everything.
Yeah, it's a big one.
Yeah.
So our mission here for you is simple. Get a solid grasp of these ideas, how they apply to, everyday life without getting bogged down. Quick and practical.
Exactly. We want to avoid that info overload. The core message, really, is that despite how we might try to hide things or find solutions elsewhere, God's already aware.
Right. And true reliance, true strength comes from acknowledging that and turning to Him. Okay, let's jump into the first lesson from the devotional. God sees the sins we try, sometimes really hard, to hide.
Well, Hosea paints this picture of Israel, right? They sort of believed their wrongdoings were, secret. Hidden. But the devotional really highlights that God saw all the selfishness, the corruption, especially among leaders, and crucially, there wasn't much genuine remorse.
Like they were just going through the motions, maybe.
Kind of. And what's interesting is how the devotional frames it. It's less about the public show and more about your private character.
Yeah.
That's what God values most. He wants our hearts,
That whole public image versus private reality thing, it's always relevant, isn't it? We spend so much energy there.
We do.
So, okay. For you listening, what's the practical takeaway here? How do you actually apply this?
The devotional gives some pretty clear pointers. First, just be honest with God, radically honest.
Because He knows anyway.
Yeah, exactly. There's no point pretending. And flowing from that is quick confession. Acknowledging where we've messed up opens the door to His mercy.
Yeah, it makes sense. Don't let it fester.
Right. And it also talks about finding trusted support, someone who can help you stay accountable, keep you honest, basically, integrity support.
That external perspective can be huge, can it?
Definitely. And maybe the most hopeful part is the reminder that God's forgiveness is always bigger than our failures. It's not about shame. It's about grace.
Okay, that's a powerful foundation. Now, what are the second lesson? This idea that depending on anything but God, it's going to fail.
Yeah, this draws on how Israel, in Hosea's time, kept turning to other nations, making alliances.
Thinking that was the solution.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Looking for security there. But the devotional points out the result wasn't strength. It was weakness, confusion even.
And that feels incredibly relatable today. We all have those things we lean on when pressure hits, don't we?
Absolutely. Maybe it's our own knowledge or certain people or those, quick fixes that seem tempting.
Right. So connecting this to your own experience, listener, it's just human nature to look for support structures.
It is. But the key insight here, the devotional stresses, is that if God isn't your primary source, your main foundation, those other things, they'll eventually disappoint. They just don't have the capacity.
They're limited.
Exactly. Which leads to a really good question for you to reflect on. When things get tough, when you feel anxious or lost, where do you instinctively turn first?
Ooh, that's a searching question.
It is. And the encouragement is to consciously try and seek God in those moments.
Instead of grabbing for that temporary fix that might actually undermine your faith long term.
Precisely. And there's this simple, powerful question the devotional suggests, asking yourself regularly, am I trusting God right now or am I leaning on something else?
Just checking in with yourself.
Yeah, it's this ongoing process, this constant turning back or returning, as the devotional says to Jesus. He's the one who remains steadfast.
Okay, so let's recap quickly. We've pulled out two big ideas from this devotional on Hosea 7. First, God's total awareness. He sees everything, even the hidden stuff.
And second, the ultimate unreliability of placing our main trust in anything or anyone other than Him.
Right. And hopefully for you listening, this deep dive gives some practical ways to think about navigating your own challenges, building on a faith that's, truly solid.
A foundation that won't crack under pressure.
Exactly. So here's a final thought to mull over. Take a moment today, maybe later, and just consider. Are there areas in your life where you might be, maybe without even realizing it, looking for security or solutions somewhere besides a conscious reliance on God?
Yeah, what might it actually look like to start intentionally shifting that dependence back to Him?
Something to think about. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.